Joined by Charles Davis from the NFL Network and Fox Sports, and Vince Ferrara, along with Jesse Smithey here on the new Sentinel Sports page, brought to you by Image Matters.
3, 4, and 5. I think Miami we're down to really, to me, Miami being that candidate because of what they need at the position. The report I got this morning, I was talking with some people in Miami this morning, and they tell me that the owner has now told his management team that he's in love with Ryan Tannehill. Which now the management team, if they loved him, it's great news because they can go ahead and do what they have to do to get him. If they didn't love him, they're like, oh, no. Because the big fella has now spoken. So guess what? If you want to work there, you're going to listen to your boss, right? So they've got to figure out what to do there because, as you said, 3 is a little bit more of a wild card than we thought, right? Forever we thought it was Matt Khalil, USC. Mm-hmm. 3 with the Vikings could be Morris Claiborne from LSU. It could be Justin Blackman from Oklahoma State. We don't know. That's in play. But if you definitely want Ryan Tannehill, you probably have to deal with Minnesota at 3 because Cleveland at 4 holds all the cards, don't they?
Yeah.
They're the ones that become the break point where they could sit there and say, if no one deals, we could take Tannehill at 4, or we can make a great package and move down and still get other players and add even another draft pick to the 2 we have in the first round. So, yeah, that's where the fun begins. And I'm sitting here, I have my last mock draft to do, guys. If I have any you-know-whats, I would take Minnesota, and instead of giving them Matt Khalil, I would give them Morris Claiborne at 3. I would come back to Cleveland at 4 and give them Trent Richardson, and then I would elevate the fastest rising guy outside of Ryan Tannehill and give number 5 to Mark Barron, the safety from Alabama, to Tampa Bay.
Wow.
Now, that's if I have any kind of guts. I still have a little bit of time. So I want to know if you guys think I should go ahead and do that, whether it's giggles for you, or if you think, boy, the man has really slipped the cog here, and he's really off the mark. Because I'm just looking at this thing. See, Tampa, at that point, they don't need Justin Blackman. They just signed Vincent Jackson. So you don't need him to go in at number 5. Richardson would be the guy they'd want, but he's off the board now. Right? They don't need offensive linemen. They don't need Khalil.
Right.
So I'm thinking, where do you go? Well, safety's a big part of it. They wanted a corner in Claiborne. But safety, Tanar Jackson suspended again, and I don't think he's ever coming back. There's too many suspensions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long you want to go and keep playing with young Mr. Grimm, who I think is a nice ball player, but Mark Barron's a considerable upgrade.
You have Mark Barron to the Cowboys at 14, so you telling me that he could be in play that high?
He could be because most of the people are telling me, Charles, I'm not sure he's getting to the Cowboys at 14.
Yeah.
The latest convention, frankly, is that he goes at 10 to Buffalo. That's the latest one that I'm getting from multiple sources. 3 different guys I talked to. We're hearing Buffalo's not going offensive tackle there, that they would love to get their hands on Mark Barron at 10 or even a wide receiver if Barron's not available. It's funny because the last report I got from someone else was the cleanest guy out of Alabama that Nick Saban would stand on the table for after Richardson is Barron, that he has nothing negative at all. The rest of it he'll tell you, there's a award here and there's this and there's that. He didn't say that about Barron, and that's what people are saying. He's the safest, possibly cleanest pick in this draft because you never say that about a...
You have Harrison Smith, a guy from Knoxville, played at Notre Dame. You have him free safety going to the New England Patriots. What have you heard lately about Harrison and really what he did to impress scouts?
Well, you look at the size and look at everything, and you guys have to talk to me off air again about how we didn't get a kid from Knoxville Catholic. But I guess maybe it's the Knoxville Catholic thing that led him to Notre Dame. But those are the types of kids we got to keep at home. Mm-hmm. We got to keep in wearing orange. So, okay, enough of my little spiel there. Harrison Smith's size, impressive. Movement skills, more impressive than what people know. And the more you watch him on tape, he's rangy. He knows how to react to the football. I think his footwork is better than maybe what people thought. Tackle, very well in the secondary. In fact, remember he played a little outside linebacker at Notre Dame, even a little inside linebacker at Notre Dame when they had some injuries. So this kid, you don't worry about him at all. I think he's got good ball hawking skills. I think his intelligence is high. I like him a bunch. I really do. And the reason I gave him to New England was New England is in desperate need of a free safety, and we saw their defense struggle all of last year, and they've been trying to get that position right for a while. They thought they had it with Brandon Merriweather, even got a Pro Bowl year out of him, and then Brandon Merriweather, of course, imploded, and they had to get rid of him. And they're just trying to get by back there. Harrison Smith, I think he's the type of player, and a good friend of mine has worked him out all spring, and he called me early in the spring raving about him. And then as the spring went on, he raved even more. Then he's like, you know something? If the Eagles were smart at 15, they would take him. Now, he has a little bias because he's been coaching him. I'm not sure he rates that highly, but he's clearly the number 2 safety on the board behind Barron. And I think he's in play, frankly, starting with Baltimore at 29, and maybe a little bit before if some other people really feel the need. Patriots 2 picks, and the Giants at 32. I think are likely landing spots for him. Would not shock me at all for him to be in the first round now. Oh, good one. Here's what I think happens, all right? Let's start with the one I had, the crazy one. All right, let's say Minnesota takes Claiborne at 3.
Okay.
That's a possibility. Let's say they don't. Let's say they take Khalil. Now you're sitting there at 4. Let's say Cleveland takes Mo Claiborne at 4, the team with Joe Hayden, right? Makes sense. They could use him. Dick Duran running the defense. Well, in that case, then Tampa Bay, I think, runs to the podium and hands in Trent Richardson's name at 5 because they want a 3-down back. But Garrett Blunt is really a running back. He's not good in pass protection, doesn't catch it extremely well out of the backfield. They're worried they're going to get their quarterback killed if he's on the field in pass protection. You don't have that worry with Trent Richardson. So to me, Richardson goes at either 4 to Cleveland, 5 to Tampa, or if something haywire happens where, like, let's say Tampa still has Claiborne available, I think they would take Claiborne potentially ahead of Richardson, but I think it's a heavy debate on their side. They can't go wrong. Then 6 with St. Louis. Now you're sitting there saying Claiborne could go there because they need the help everywhere. And then last but not least, Jacksonville needs the help on the corner. I think Jacksonville would be ecstatic if they looked up and saw Mo Claiborne, if somehow he fell to them at 7. So he fills a need. You see how many teams we've got already where Mo Claiborne could easily be the selection? So if I'm him, I don't think Green Room's going to be very long for Mo Claiborne.
Quick thoughts on Melvin Ingram, Fletcher Cox, those 2 SEC guys.
Melvin Ingram, terrific football player, great college production. We know that. People a little bit worried about size because they're trying to figure out exactly where does he fit. What South Carolina did was they moved him around like crazy and did a great job of it. Scheme fit, everything, even rush from the defensive tackle position. I think he's an outside linebacker who doesn't have the ideal size and arm length that they're all looking for, which sounds crazy until you look back and see how many times they actually get that part right with short-arm guys not able to play and get off of blocks or pass protect. See Robert Gallery, among others. So that's the thing about him. But I think his bidding, frankly, starts at 7 in Jacksonville and probably extends down into the teens somewhere where he will go. Fletcher Cox, the fast riser, probably the best, the one who's number 1 defensive tackle on everyone's board. Why? His ability to pass rush from inside. Nickel pass rusher, I think that moves him ahead of Michael Brockers. Dontari Poe didn't have the production in college, although a physical freak that is going to make people think, I'd hate to pass on that guy and he becomes an all-pro. But Cox solidly at the top, and you're hearing things like 6 to St. Louis now to go play defensive tackle for them. That's the esteem he's being held in. I think more likely he doesn't last past Carolina at 9. Because if Carolina gets the chance and everything's clean, they take him. They need to rebuild that defense. And, their head coach, what was he before? Oh, yeah, that's right, defensive coordinator.
Charles Davis joining us here on the new Sentinel Sports page. All right, other than Mark Barron, who you've already talked about, the other 3 potential first-round picks from Alabama from that defense, Dante Hightower, Dre Kirkpatrick, and Courtney Upshaw. Give me a quick thought on each of those guys.
Kirkpatrick played the scheme as well as you can play it. I thought he was even better in 2010 than he was in 2011, but that doesn't mean he was lousy in 2011. He was still very good. But remember, they're much more of a zone scheme. You don't see him much in just straight man-to-man coverage, all right? See him a lot of that. Probably the best tackling corner in the draft. I think he can slide inside and play the nickel. I think he's probably in play. At one time he was in play up at 7 with Jacksonville. I think he's probably more in play as we get into the teens now. A place like Cincinnati might be a likely landing place. We shall see. Courtney Upshaw, he's the same thing as Melvin Ingram. Maybe even more so because I don't think he's as fast twitch as Melvin Ingram. I think Melvin Ingram's quicker off the football, maybe a little bit more of an impact coming off the edge. Maybe you can move around just a little bit more. But Upshaw, a terrific player, is actually sliding in the first round because of the so-called measurables. Look for his name to be called anywhere from, I'm going to say San Diego at 18, down into the late first round. I think the great thing in the world for him would be to give up some money, because the farther you go down, you lose money, and go play for like a Bill Belichick. Because, they're going to maximize this guy. He's a great football player. Find a place for him. They're the type of team that can. And last but not least, Dante Hightower, who's one of my absolute favorite players. Everyone gives Luke Kuechly from Boston College the number one spot at inside linebacker. I'm not so sure that there's that much difference. The difference being is that Kuechly runs a little bit faster, but he's lighter. It's not as much of a difference, and Hightower's bigger, thicker, stronger guy who rushes the passer very well from the inside linebacker position. I think you can edge rush him at times, although I like him better inside. I actually had him going to the Jets at one point at 16 because of his versatility, and they need to replace Bart Scott. I think he's a terrific football player. And again, if you ask the Pittsburgh Steelers towel-waving nation, that is who they want. You talk about a perfect matchup and a need, that would be the spot there, because they'd want him to go there, because what they're afraid of is that Baltimore will take him at 29. The last thing they want to do is see him in the division as the heir apparent to Ray Lewis.
Michael Brockers, LSU, Stephon Gilmore, South Carolina, Cordy Glenn, Georgia. Just a quick comment on the range of those guys.
Okay, Brockers, I think we're talking mid-teens. I know the Cowboys like him at 14 as one of their guys. Eagles at 15, I think somewhere in there. One question mark I have on Brockers is rushing the pass. I have not seen him be real dynamic doing that. He seems very static. Can he learn more and do that one? That was him. Who's the next guy?
Stephon Gilmore, South Carolina, who I had heard that maybe was coming up. Where do you...
Huge riser.
Yeah.
Huge riser. The last thing I'm hearing is Jacksonville at 7 now.
Wow.
Which is funny to me, because I say that's a back-to-the-future pick. And people say, what do you mean? I said, well, when we started doing mock drafts, a lot of us, me included, had Drake Kirkpatrick at 7 to Jacksonville in our first mock draft. So it's still a cornerback. It's just a different guy. Gilmore is a blitzer type of a guy. First tape I turned on, first play of the game, he blitzed off the edge, hit the quarterback upside the head. He runs faster than Kirkpatrick. That's why a lot of people give him a little bit of an edge. Gilmore, as I said, 7 to Jacksonville, work his way all the way through. He could end up anywhere, 7 through 15, 16, I think, is probably a likely landing point. At worst case scenario, one of the two picks for the Bengals could be Stephon Gilmore. What other guy you gave me?
Cordy Glenn from Georgia, and then give me what you think the Titans might do.
Okay, Cordy Glenn from Georgia is a guy that people are trying to figure out if he's a tackle or a guard. I like him better at guard. I watched him at the Senior Bowl week. I thought he struggled the first day with speed off of the edge and got better and better and better as the week went on. Not what you call body beautiful, but he's a guy who moves his feet well. I think he's got some power inside. I like him better as a guard. He's another place where Pittsburgh might fit, because at some point big men can't keep getting hit like he keeps getting hit. Mm-hmm. So he kind of fits there. But if people are going to project him at tackle, I feel like that's a little bit more of a gamble. If he's going to play tackle, to me it's a right tackle more than a left tackle. But I like him at guard. And last but not least, with the Titans, so many directions they can go. Pass rusher, corner, depending on what's there, because Gilmore could fit in for them. If Gilmore's still sitting there at 20, they might fly to the podium, forget run. Okay, they might just dive up there. But otherwise, I'm thinking maybe a pass rusher, and now we're talking about who they like. Is it Nick Perry from USC? Is it Whitney Merciless from Illinois, who had a monster year? Remember Coach Ron Zook coached him there. Guy had 16-plus sacks, 9 forced fumbles. He's a Ted Hendricks Award winner. And also a little bit of a wild card who's really rising is Shea McClellan from Boise State, with his versatility where he can play outside, inside, come off the edge, the whole deal. Those are kind of the positions I would target for the Titans.
Charles Davis, phenomenal coverage all this week and all the time on the NFL Network and on Fox Sports. You can follow him on Twitter at CFD22, a proud former Vol. I know Mike Mayock has given you a ton of grief about the former Vols in this draft. So
yeah, all being at other schools.
Right, yeah.
I know. We went through that at the Combine where I think I was the one to open up my mouth first as I started watching guys run through. Hey, there's Lennon Creer at Louisiana Tech. He's a former Vol. Hey, there's Jansen Jackson at McNeese State. He's a former Vol. Hey, wow, that's great. Mike's like, yeah, that's pretty good. Hey, there's Don Terry Pope. Mike's like, he's from Memphis. Yeah, I know. He said, that is in Tennessee, right? Yeah, yes, I know. I actually texted Coach Dooley and said, when are we going to get guys that look like this?
Nice.
And he texted me back and said, we are working on it. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it.
Hey, just give me a round range. I'm sorry, Charles, while you brought those up. Creer and Jansen Jackson, give me a round range you think those guys can go.
If Jansen Jackson wasn't a knucklehead, he'd be a second, third round guy max. I mean, minimum. But he's such a knucklehead, I know a lot of people don't have him on their board.
Huh.
And then you throw in Lennon Creer. I think he's going to be a free agent.
Wow.
I think he'll be a 7th-round guy or a free agent.
And the Tennessee guys, Malik Jackson and Torrin Poole?
Torrin Poole, I think 6th, 7th round. And I think Malik Jackson probably more like 4th, 5th round.
Awesome. Charles, you're the best. How about that for insight from Charles Davis? Really appreciate it, Charles. Thanks so much for your perspective on Pat Summitt as well. And thanks for everything you do. We'll be watching on the NFL Network.
Thank you. And thanks for letting me off the hook for Lightning 22 because I almost had to get the paddles out today just in case my heart stops again.
No, we should have given you the heads up on that. You're good today. Until next time. Thanks so much, Charles. Have a great week and enjoy your coverage this week.
All right. Thanks a lot. You guys take care and go Vols as always.
All right. Look at that. That is Charles Davis, such a proud former Vol.